Let's go, folks. Time for the Gibby Show.
Baseball fans, welcome to another edition of the Gibby Show presented by Miller Lite, the official beer of Major League Baseball and the Gibby Show. My name is David Bastl from Sports Interaction, getting the call from the bullpen, replacing the vacationing John Arizzi. He's gone for now, John, and we're welcoming, of course, two-time Blue Jays manager, best-selling author, of course, Gibby, Tales of a Baseball Lifer. The one I read cover to cover, John. Nice to talk to you. I'm not just saying it. And you know what? You haven't sent me that hard copy I wanted. I still have the paperback. But you know what? I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be talking to you. How are you, my friend?
Did you say your name was Dave or Wally Pip? What the?
Well, we'll go with Dave first.
Dave, you're an old friend, man. We're glad to have you on here. And come on, man, get out and buy you one, for crying out loud. I need to make a living. What, I got to send everybody a free one? Everybody wants a freebie.
Well, you're probably getting a lot of calls though on those. Hey, John, send me a book. Send me a book. It's like, no, go buy one. It's worth it. Trust me.
You know, it's funny is everybody says, "Hey, I got your book," and then I find out nobody's reading it. Even my kids said, hey, I sent my kids' book, and they said, "I said, have you read any of the book yet?" Not yet, Dad. Not yet, Dad. Okay.
Honestly, worth the read. I love it, and you should too. I saw your Twitter posts, and I do follow you, of course. And you were in Houston voicing your book, which before I saw the pictures of it, I kind of got a laugh at it. You voicing audio seems funny to me. How did it work out for your first time? And take us into the booth, so to speak.
Hey, Dave, I'm telling you, it was brutal, right? I went in there and I told the guy, great guy that was doing it all real professional. I said, as I going along and I'm mumbling things and I'm trying to, I said, maybe I should have read the final edition, make sure I got this right. But, and he told me, he said, listen, people come in here, people that do this all the time, he says, it's hard to do, trust me, and I said, okay, whatever. So I didn't get it done. So I got to go back, next week to finish it off. But I'm telling you, my mind was racing. I'm a little ADHD anyway, and it was really, really full effect on it. But so almost there.
Yeah, almost. Now, it's supposed to come out in June. Are we going to be finished voicing it by June?
I just hope we finish this show by June right here.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah.
You know what? It's a pretty cool experience. And being an audiobook guy that I am, it's kind of cool hearing it from the author. So I think the fans will really enjoy it, and we are looking forward to it. That does, of course, come out in June, and it's definitely something that you want to pick up. Of course, I wanted to get to Gabbing with Gibby. It's brought to you by Tim Hortons. Mark Buehrle is going to be joining us, and this guy's resume, John, is outstanding. World Series champion, 5-time All-Star, 5-time Golden Glove winner. I got a chance to cover him when I was on the Major League beat. You got a chance to manage him for multi-years. Maybe a quick thought on Buehrle, and what a workhorse. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Mark Buehrle.
You know what, Dave? This guy had an incredible career. He's such a low-key guy, a humble guy, the ultimate man. He's a manager's dream. He's an umpire's dream. He's the best teammate you could ever have. But he's had a Hall of Fame career. I'm going to read off some of the, his final numbers over the years. He's up there with the all-time greats. But he never promoted himself. He just a good old country boy from the Midwest, and but a very special guy.
And we'll get to it in a second, but he was part of that 12-player trade when Alex made the trade with the Miami Marlins. And when you were thinking about all the players you acquired, you must have been licking your chops when you saw Buehrle was in place, because he's one of those guys that you throw in at the top of the rotation and he's going to give you multiple innings. And we're talking about in the 200s.
Oh, yeah, and every year, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And, he was – guys nowadays don't come close to sniffing what he did, but I remember that trade, and that was my first year back, and the baseball world crowned us world champs before we even played a game. Next thing you know, we're at the bottom of the division. It's okay. So then, it was never the trade was never questioned. The hiring of Gibbons was what was questioned, because but I knew when we got Buehrle, that at least on that night we'd be pretty dang good.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's begin with the leadoff now. A lot of Blue Jay talk with the Jays. It almost seems to be a little bit of a deja vu, so to speak. So if you look at their schedule and what they've done this last month, it's get swept by the Red Sox, sweep the Pirates, get swept by the Phillies, and then this past weekend, sweep the Atlanta Braves. Are you kidding me? At home? This team is so up and down as far as consistency is concerned. Maybe a thought on being resilient and kind of plugging through where you go through the bad and then rebound with the ultimate of good.
It's hard to figure things sometimes. It's hard to even come up with the reasons why. But naturally, everybody should be better at home than on the road, right? That's kind of given. Not always the case, but what's important though is that you hold your own on the road. You survive on the road, especially in the tough division they're in. But they're dynamite at home. They just swept the Atlanta Braves. But you think about those teams you were talking about. The Red Sox swept the Blue Jays at home. The Phillies swept the Blue Jays at home. So there's always that little bit of an advantage, especially. And another thing the Blue Jays have going for them is a tremendous home crowd, right? Yeah. But I'm sure they're scratching their head trying to figure out what it is that about the road. But sometimes there's no answers, and you're playing major league teams. They're all good. But there is something to having that last at bat. There's no question about that.
Well, we'll get to the schedule in a second, but let's dig a little bit deeper. So the Jays 12-3 at home. They're a game under 500 on the road. There's a little bit of an inconsistency there. And you talked about home cooking being great, the last at bat being even better. But why the struggles on the road?
I don't know. Because I've been through those kind of things before. And sometimes it'll go down into the individual, like say a pitcher, right? Because those are the guys that stand out most. Some guys will pitch tremendous at home and then on the road, struggle on the road. And I've had certain guys, and then it flips flops the following year. They're really good on the road. They stink at home, and then sometimes it becomes mental, because people bring it up. Well, but as far as a team, when you look at a team, how they struggle maybe on the road versus at home, I don't think that'll ever become a problem. But individuals, sometimes they get that in their head. Listen, there's no answer for it. Don't try. Just really enjoy them when they're home.
Yeah, and that's what they have to take advantage, especially in these next two series with the Yankees and the Orioles. These are two of the better teams, not only in the division, but in Major League Baseball. If you look at the American League right now, the 5 teams that are in the American League East are in the top 11 in all of baseball. So quickly, the Yankees will be in Toronto for 4. The Orioles will end off the weekend here in Toronto. Then they go to Tampa Bay for a 4-game set, followed by the Minnesota Twins. This is a really tough schedule. We talked about it, how it was a little bit earlier in April, but this might even take the cake.
Yeah, you're right. But welcome to the big leagues, right?
Yeah.
You know what, Dave? It's just you go back, if you brought that up a week ago, right? You would have also thrown the Atlanta Braves in there leading it off, right? And they took care of business there. And the Yankees are in town. It's not the same Yankees. They're banged up pretty good, but they're still a good major league team. And they just battled it out pretty good with Tampa down there. They could have swept that series down there. So, and then of course the Tampa and Baltimore they haven't seen yet. Who's not necessarily a surprise. Maybe they're a little ahead of where everybody thought they were going to be. And then the Twins who are leading their division, but I tell you, there's the American League East. You can't. It's just the toughest division of baseball, no doubt. Hey, look. Okay, put it this way. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates, the greatest surprise. What a sleeper. Blah blah blah. Right? They won. I don't know. They're on top of the world, right? Then they go where they went down to Tampa, got swept, and they went home. Baltimore, another East team, comes in, sweeps them. And then the Blue Jays come to town, another East team, they sweep them. Then they go to Baltimore and they lose 2 out of 3. It's a different animal. That's why you can get out of the American League East, do it.
Yeah. You know what? The American League East might be even tougher than when you managed the team, because I remember covering your Toronto Blue Jays. The Jays were always worried about the Red Sox and the Yankees, but not as much with Baltimore and Tampa. Or at least you wouldn't say that. That's what I would say as a reporter. But now you're looking at 5 teams that are this good. That's pretty incredible, don't you think?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The Red Sox and the Yankees are nowhere what they used to be.
No, that's
When
true.
you're talking,
Yeah.
in my opinion, you got Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, Veritek, all those groups. Lowell over at third base. Then you go to the Yankees, with Jeter, Bernie Williams, you name it, right? And even Baltimore started to go into a rebuild, but even Tampa, though, you go Tampa back then, when Joe Madden was there, they got to a World Series, So
That's right.
it's always been a tough division. I just think it's glaring. I think what makes it really stand out now too is the Central divisions in both leagues. They're struggling, they're struggling to stay over 500, So I think that's why you'll see, every team in that American League East have a tremendous season because they balance the schedule out a little bit more. So they're not. Don't be surprised if they all get around 95 wins. That wouldn't be unheard of. Could happen.
Yeah, that's definitely has a lot to do with the scheduling there. Of course, a reminder: the Gibby Show presented by Miller Lite. Gibby, I noticed that you stopped by last week for dinner in Houston. Had some crawfish. Maybe that probably wouldn't be on my menu, but it was on your menu, and it would be on both our menus. A tall, cold one from Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time, doesn't it?
Oh, David always tastes like Miller time. But let me tell you, I had never had crawfish until 2 years ago when I met my new wife, right?
Yeah.
Because her father, that he sells them. He's a farmer, and then he also sells crawfish. And
You
I fell
had
in
to
love
have it
with
then.
him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no choice. And I loved them because hey, don't forget I got New England blood in me. My mom and dad are both born and raised in Boston, so I'm a lobster man. Now you can't compare crawfish and lobster. I won't go that far. But I tell you what, if you live down south, man, crawfish is a delicacy.
Yeah.
But you got to have a Miller Lite with it, or it's not near as good.
I was gonna say you have to take that down with a Miller Lite. Yeah.
Or two.
Exactly.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
Hey, you know who could use a Miller Lite right now? Anybody wearing an Oakland A's jersey. Because right now this team is struggling. When you look at it, Gibby, I kind of feel bad for them. I kind of grew up in the era of Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco, Terry Steinbach, the Hendersons. I know they're not related, but it was such a good team. The stadium was always packed in Oakland. This was a team to watch. I even love the green jerseys, personally speaking. So 9-33 as we do this recording, a run differential of minus 157, which is horrendously bad. The closest team to them, Gibby, in fact, the White Sox had a run differential of minus 71. The 62 Mets hold the record for most losses in any MLB season at 120. The A's are on pace for 127. Do you think they're going to get to it? And how badly do they not want to get that record? Because you do not want to live with that record the rest of your life.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, you're talking those names you brought out with Oakland, but you can go back even further when they won those, those World Series. But with Joe Rudy and those guys,
I'm talking about my era there.
No, I know, but then even after, maybe you are younger than you look. I guess. Okay. No, but Dave, remember that even past that when they had the Mulder, the Zito, and all that, and they were like the Moneyball came along, right? Billy Beane and the Moneyball.
Yes.
And they were in the postseason every year. They didn't win the championship, but they were there every year, right? And but they've never had any money to spend. And I think recently, didn't they purchase some land in the Las Vegas area?
Yes.
So let's face it, they're not generating any money out there in Oakland, And you hate to see great franchise like that at one time have to move and all that, but it's about economics too, And so if they go to if they move and go to, I think that would be the best thing for them. I really do.
Yeah. The Las
But
Vegas A's.
gosh, that I don't know Kotze really well. I met him, but I'm a big fan, and he's managing that team. And sometimes it's like, gosh, you feel for the guy, But I guess it's better than managing in AAA. I don't know.
That's true. That's true. They are playing AAA style, which you don't want to do. Could be the Las Vegas A's sooner than we think.
Exactly.
Time now for Gabbing with Gibby, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Get your cold on with new sparkling quenchers at Tim's. They're bubbly, refreshing, and naturally flavored in blackberry, yuzu, and orange ginger. Try your favorite at your nearest Tim's here in Canada today.
Oh,
Pleased to be joined by five-time All-Star, four-time Golden Glove winner, World Series winner. Hey, he even won 40 games with the Toronto Blue Jays back in the day. Mark Buehrle. Mark, welcome to Gabbing with Gibby. Good to talk to you, my friend.
You too. Thanks for having me.
yeah. Hey, bro, I got to tell you what, to the people out there listening, I don't think I've ever met a better guy in this world. You were a manager's dream. You were a teammate's dream. You were an umpire's dream. You know, you really had a tremendous career. And I'm going to go. We started talking a little bit. You know, I knew how good a career you had, right? But I wanted to look it up, make sure I didn't, shortchange you on anything. But you're a Hall of Famer. You know, it's just a matter of time before you get in there. But it's incredible what you accomplished. You know, and now you got cut from your high school team first couple of years, didn't you? That story's true, right?
Yep. Freshman and sophomore season, I got cut. And the coach that cut me my freshman year, he got moved up to coach the JV the next year. So I think the guy had something out for me. But I literally made it to the last day cuts. Like, they cut the team down from 60 people down to get to 20 or 30 or whatever was on there. And I made it all the way through both cuts. And it was like, okay, we got to cut one more guy. Buehrle, come to the office. And I was the guy that got cut.
Oh, God. Hopefully that guy got cut.
Yeah, well, now there's a Buehrle rule there that the varsity coach has to approve anybody that gets cut from the team, whether freshman, sophomore, junior, whatever. He's got to approve of it, but he's just retiring this year, so I don't know what's going to happen.
And they may call you to come back and coach, man.
No, so I'm enjoying life too much to go back and doing any of that.
I tell you what, man, you know what? You earned every bit of that too, Mark. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to start with first of all. Chris Bastl. Do you watch any of the Blue Jays games or any baseball anymore?
When I'm sitting down for lunch, I'll watch a game, or at nighttime, I'll turn something on just for a bit, but not a ton. Okay. All
right. Chris Bastl, he's pitching for the Blue Jays now. Used to be in Oakland. He was with the Mets, right? He's doing a pretty good job for Toronto. But he threw a complete game shutout the other night, right? And that was the first Blue Jays pitcher since you did it in Washington in 2015. You remember that game? I remember that. You remember that game?
I remember what happened at second base and my running skills. That's all I remember out of it.
Hey,
broke up a double play. I remember that.
Oh, yeah. This is what you did, right? You threw a complete game shutout. You got a base hit. You laid down a sack bunt. You broke up a double play. And you got 18 ground ball outs out of 27.
It's not a bad day.
And you know what else? That was your second complete game in a row, right?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that for crap, man. I'd be your PR guy.
I don't remember what happened last week. I'm supposed to remember 2015.
Hey, you know why I remember it? Because I remember we went there to Washington. We were kind of playing so, right? And I remember we won that game. Everybody's feeling really good. And we're going back to Toronto afterwards. So I'm in the manager's office taking a shower. And one of the front office guys, I don't remember who it was, might have been Mikey Shaw or something, came in and said, hey, the word is in Toronto, when we get back, you're getting fired. I said, what? I said, what? I said, okay. I said, all right, here's what you do. Because I've heard that before. I heard that a lot, right? So I said, well, call Alex Anthopoulos, whoever it was. And I said, find out. Because if that's the case, I'm hopping on a plane here in D.C. and going home. I ain't going back there, right? So the guy went, called Alex, woke him up or some shit. He goes, no, there's nothing to that. So my point is, if you didn't throw that gem right there, I might have got fired. So thank you very much.
So I kept you on for another, couple months maybe? That's all.
All right, here we go. Dave, you got anything for him real quick before I read off
Yeah,
this?
Of course I do. Mark, the 2005 season was a big deal with the World Series championship, and you had an interesting manager in Ozzie Guillen, which some of the stories and some of the highlights of Ozzie they're out there at times. You probably know that a heck of a lot better than I do. When you're comparing Ozzie Guillen to John Gibbons as managers that you've played for, how do they compare in any sort of way?
Be careful.
one speaks English better than the other one. No, I'd say
that's one.
They're both up front, and they're going to tell you whatever it is they want to tell you, whether it's good or bad, whether you want to hear it or not. If you're playing good or if you're not playing good and you're getting benched for a certain reason, they're going to tell you like you're not playing because you suck right now. Like that's why you're on the bench. So they're definitely both similar in that aspect of coaching.
What about tempers? What about tempers? Because they've both been ejected plenty of times.
No, I think Ozzie has him on that. Ozzie flipped his lid a little bit more than Gibby did. Gibby's too laid back and just chill at times.
Yeah, that's right. You're right, Buehrle. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, man. Hey, Ozzie. Hey, Ozzie's doing isn't he doing TV or radio or pregame stuff for the White Sox right now?
I think I've seen a few. I've seen this Ozzie Jr. post some stuff to my wife on Facebook, I guess, but he's doing something.
Hey, if the White Sox or anybody called you back, I know the Marlins haven't, but anybody called you and say, hey, you want to come do some spots or come around or anything?
No. I mean, they've met come on spring training, and I think they've it's like an open page of if I want to go back up there and do anything, the offer's there. But like I said, I'm not ready for it. I'm enjoying life here and farming and being a country boy and just doing whatever every single day. So I'm not ready to get back into baseball yet.
And the beer league softball, man.
Yeah, it's Tuesday night. It's a big game tomorrow night. Second game of the year.
Are you a pitcher in that, or where do they put you?
Play first base. I'm not. I pitched one time to one batter because I didn't know the rule. I was running across the field and I picked up the ball to give it to the pitcher that was coming out, and I just joked around. I said, "Let me see how easy or hard this is to underhand this thing and then try to throw a strike." And as soon as I did it, the umpire says, "You got to stay there since you threw a pitch. Like that's technically warming up, so you have to face at least one hitter." And I was like, funny. And they're like, "No, seriously." So I had to throw to one guy. 4 pitches, wasn't even close to the strike zone. And I'm like, "Get me the heck out of here." Went back to first base. It was so hard.
Dang, I'll be done. Hey, let me ask, how's your arm feel, man, after that long career? Does your arm ache at all, or?
There's times when I sleep, because I like to sleep a lot with my arm kind of over my shoulder like that. And there's times it'll kind of go numb or tingle a little bit in the middle of the night. But for the most part, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I've thrown a little bit here and there. Some of these drunken nights on New Year's Eve or Super Bowl party over here, they want to go get the ball, let's go, and they want to get in the cage and throw. So I just crank it up and throw as hard as I can, which isn't hard at all anymore, or ever.
The neighbors line up, say, "We want to hit off the Buehrle."
Yeah,
man.
they just take. I don't get loose. I just literally just pick up a ball and start firing fastballs at them. And then the next day, when I can't wipe my rear end, I'm wondering, this is why I've retired and been done.
Hey, let me say, hey, did you ever go on the DL?
No.
In your whole career?
Never on the DL.
I had heard that. I thought, I got a few things I've heard. I'm going, anyway, really? That's incredible, man. I mean, how about nowadays they go on after every 3 or 4 starts, man, everybody goes on the – that's unbelievable.
Appreciate it. I mean, I took pride in going out there and taking the ball every 5th day and just – going as deep as I could. I mean, eating innings was my job, and that's what I took pride in doing. That's what, obviously, the 200 innings every year, I kind of put a goal on myself and never really said I want a goal of winning 20 games, because if you're out there deep in the games, you're giving your team and yourself the best chance to win, and all those other numbers are going to fall into place.
Well, you won 214 games in your career. That's a lot of wins, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of wins. Hey, I got, go ahead.
Happen to stay out there long.
No. I got something to people. This is going to shock everybody, right? You and your relationship with the catcher, you never shook off pitches.
Nope.
Hey, let me tell you, I heard that one time and I called bullshit. I said, "Come on, that ain't true." Somebody told me that. I said, "I'm going to ask him." So I asked you, and he said, "No, I don't." And so I started watching, And I said, and you had a bunch of different catchers in your career through White Sox, down there in Florida, and then you came to the Blue Jays. I'm thinking, damn. And the whole idea, I think you told me, was, listen, if I put that sucker where I want to put it, I don't care what I'm throwing, right? Isn't that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah. I mean, so it's funny, my agent just called me about 2 weeks ago, and I guess something got brought up about that. And he was on a speaker and talking to people and asked me the same thing because the other people didn't believe it. The last time I shook off was actually when we were over in Japan playing in that MLB series with Japan teams. AJ Przinsky was still a catcher with the Twins, and he was catching me over there, and Hideki Matsui was batting. And I'm not sure which one it was, but he called a fastball, let's say fastball in, and I shook to a fastball away and literally took a line drive off my throwing shoulder. 5 outs into the game, and I was only, supposed to go 4 or 5 innings, but in the second inning, get a line drive off my shoulder. I was done for the rest of the time we were there. I had to go to the hospital over there in Japan, which is not easy getting around. I had a translator, but that was, I think, probably the last time I ever shook off. That's not why, but yeah, I just feel like I don't really do the pitcher meetings with the pitching coach and the catcher. I just kind of say, you guys got a game plan. I feel confident in throwing all 4 pitches pretty much any time, any count, any location. So just you put the finger down, I'm going to throw it there. Whether it's his strengths, then if it's my strength, I'm going up against his strength. I hope I win. But yeah, I never wanted to put too much information. I just wanted to know, okay, does a guy swing first pitch of an at bat? Just so I know, hey, if he calls a fastball, make sure it's a good fastball location if this guy does swing early. But for the most part, I just feel like I'm going to go with my strengths, whether it's matching up against the hitter's strengths or not. I'm going to take my chances with it.
Dude, you are like the analytics nightmare, man. You're like,
how about this? How the game has changed now? It is crazy. The little times I watched it, it's insane with how many, like, now what they're calling sweepers and like not sliders or sweepers now or something. Like, that's crazy.
But I can remember that, I can remember the first time I saw it, or we were talking about the pitchers catchers meeting. I walked by the office and Pete Walker was in there, the pitching coach, and he was in there. I don't remember who the catcher was. And this was early on. I thought, hey, where's Buehrle at? Well, he doesn't come into these. I said, damn, you know what? There's something to this. He doesn't shake off the catcher. He doesn't need all this. I said, see, we're overcomplicating this stuff, right? And there's something to that. Not only that, I think, go ahead.
I just think there's too much information. So some of these guys go over these meetings and it's like, it's the same thing, hard up and in, soft down and away. Like it's the same thing to every hitter. So like I said, I just felt confident in making my pitch at the right time when I'm making the location of it and just put the finger down and let's go.
Awesome. Unbelievable. Hey, I think they did this pitch clock thing in honor of you.
That is about one of the only changes I like in the game so far. I went to a game when the Braves are in town, seen our guy George Poulos, and ended up going down there. And I usually make it till about the 5th or 6th inning. I tell my wife, I'm out of here before 7th inning stretch. I can't handle sitting here for 3 hours. And we were down there, and it was like an hour into the game, and we're in the 5th inning already. And I was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, there's something to it, right? But there's certain guys, man. Everybody's got their own psychologist now, right? And some of them tell them, like Luck LaLoosh from what was that? Kevin Costner, when he's a Bull Durham guy, breathe through your eyelids, right? So they tell him, slow down, slow the game down. So a lot of them can't do it, man. But there's something to working fast.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a funny story I got to tell it here because you're retired now, but you talk about working fast and say, Buehrle, man, Buehrle, you talk about reliable. You came to me, I don't know, that might have been that last year or something, and said, listen, my buddy's a guitar player for Zach Brown. Was it Zach Brown, your buddy? Yeah. Did I get the band right? Okay. And they were playing at the amphitheater down there on the lake, right? And I think it was on a Friday night. You were pitching Friday night. So Buehrle comes to me. He says, hey, my buddy's down there. Thinks if I'll give you about 6, 7 innings. As soon as the game's over, can I get out of here and go catch the end of the show? I said, of course you can, right? Meanwhile, it's against league rules. You got to hang around and talk to the media. So anyway, sure enough, like clockwork, I think you got into the 7th. Might have got an out or 2 or something. So we came take you out of the game. I get to the mound. Say, hey, we'll see you tomorrow, man. Right? So you go in there. I don't even know if you showered, man. You were gone, right? So at the end of when the game's over, the manager goes into the post game, does the media stuff, right? And I'm sitting there, and Rosie goes, hey, is Mark all right? I said, yeah. What do you mean? It's a great game now. What are you talking about? She goes, Oh, I just saw him leaving the ballpark early on my way in here. I said, okay. You know, in reality, I said, he was sick as a dog today. You know what? We didn't even think he was going to be able to pitch. And so I told him, hey, when he took him out of the game, he said, get the hell out of here, man. So meanwhile, I'm going, I hope there's going to be some photographers over there at the Zach. So anyway, Al Anthopoulos comes in after the game. I don't know if he knew or I told him. He was like, Alex could panic sometimes.
Yep.
Because the league's going to call him, and he didn't ever want to buck the system at all. So do you remember that?
No, I do remember that. It was a good concert too. I was up on stage, pretty good. And then about an hour later, I think half the teammates, everybody else, once the game got over, and they came over and joined me.
That was, man. You know what? Hey, Burrow, one thing. I think the game, so it is very complicated now, and I things are so different. It's so much corporate, whatever you want to call it. I think the fun of the game, a lot of the fun's gone, and little things like that. Those things don't happen all the time. Doesn't mean you're not having fun if you can't do that, but it's like you were just one of a kind, man. You know what? But now it is time for these numbers, right? I hope you know these. Because you might have to, I'm sure you'll see it when the Hall of Fame day comes. All right. Dave, you got anything before I read it? This takes a while, man.
Just one thing. So, Mark, you're an American League pitcher for 98% of your career, basically. But so a lot of people may not know this, but you actually hit a home run. What do you remember about the home run? Because I know that you had the perfect game in the no-hitter in the World Series, but as far as special achievements by yourself as a pitcher, that's kind of cool, isn't it? Like, what do you remember off of that game back in 2009, I think?
Yeah, so we were in Milwaukee, and I hit the ball pretty good. I knew I hit it pretty good, but I didn't know how far, if it was going to get out of here. And I think earlier in spring training, we went to San Francisco and played an exhibition right at the end of spring training before the season started. And I hit a ball that kind of one bounced right field. And as I'm running to first, I kind of rounded first to go to second. And I stopped because the guy got the ball and chucked it back in, and it wasn't really going. And I got worn out for not getting a double out of that hit. And so as soon as I saw Milwaukee, I remember I said, I'm putting my head down and I'm getting on second base. I don't care what happens. I have to get to second base. So obviously put head down, trying to run as fast as I can, rounded first. And about, I don't know, halfway between is whenever everybody roared and went crazy. Obviously, being in Milwaukee, a lot of Sox fans were up there. But the place erupted, so I didn't know if the guy caught it or if it was a home run until I finally seen the center fielder and the right fielder stop running after the ball. And then after that, I just remember going in the dugout, and obviously everybody's giving me the silent treatment. Just one of those, just laughing, like, how did that just happen? Like, I am the worst hitter in the history of pitchers hitting, and I just hit a home run. Like, how is that possible?
Who'd you hit it off of?
Braden Looper.
Really? Looper?
Little E2 fastball up here at the numbers. 3-2 count. And I half swing. I swing, and then I stop like halfway through. And it went out.
Hey, you know what? You got as many big league home runs as I got, dude. What does that tell you? What does that say about me?
Oh, too funny.
I hit mine off Michael Jackson, though. Not the Moonwalker, the Phillies reliever. Anyway.
Refresh this summer at Tim's with sparkling quenchers. Bubbly and bursting with natural flavors, our blackberry yuzu and orange ginger sparkling quenchers will add a splash to your cool down. Keep it cold with Tim's new sparkling quenchers.
Hey, you know what? When you say you were busting your butt, when I mentioned earlier about you breaking up that double play, when we were in Washington that game, that was before they had all these candy ass rules on slides at second base. You actually rolled into that guy, break up that double play.
You can't do that now.
No. All right, here we go. Dave, sit back, man. This may take a while. All right, Buehrle, right here. 5-time All-Star, you covered. You led the league in starts twice. You led the league in innings twice. You won 4 Gold Gloves. You threw that no-hitter. You threw a perfect game. And you were the number 1 guy on your staff to win in the world when you won the World Series, right? All right, here you go. 16-year career, right? I'm not shortchanging you, am I?
15 and a half, I think.
All right, well, it's close enough. All right. So those 16 years, you averaged 33 starts a year. That's like you said, you never went on the DL. You made every start. 16 straight years. 16 straight years, you averaged 221 innings per year. Yeah, you can't even get guys think, man, these guys are 5 and divers now, man.
Yeah.
221 innings per year you average for your whole career. All right. You're second in the major league history pickoffs by a left-handed pitcher. Did you realize that?
Yep, I knew that.
Even with Joe West over there. Hey, your boy Joe West was on the show last week or 2 weeks ago. What was it?
Oh, was he? He's called me. He's been retired. It's pretty funny talking to him.
Oh, good, man. All right, good. All right. Let's see. 214 wins. This is just the beginning, man. You can really see this is what I do when I really like somebody. See, if I don't like it, forget it. Or say, R.A. Dickey, how many?
Oh, gee.
See, I think since you're a little bit older now, I think you ought to come back as a knuckleballer.
No.
Wasn't Wilbur Wood a knuckleballer?
I think so, but I don't want
White
nothing to
Sox?
do. That means I could be traveling. I can't be doing the stuff I'm doing now. That sounds like no fun.
Well, I thought you at least would say, I ain't throwing that crap pitch. What are you kidding me?
Definitely not. Because of that person.
All right, here we go. All right. There's only been 7 pitchers that have thrown 200 innings in 14 straight years. Warren Spahn, Don Sutton, Gaylord Perry, Phil Niekro, Christy Mathewson, and Greg Maddux, all in the Hall of Fame, right? And then your final year in 2015, this still haunts me to this day. We're an inning and a third shy of doing it for 15 straight years, right? We tried, but we didn't get that second. Remember, for crying out loud, Go at second base, right? One of the best defensive second basemen in the league. He gorked that one, right?
Yep.
It's the first hitter of the game. Okay. And then later in that inning, Eddie over there at first base, a soft line drive, climbed him too. I'm going, what are we doing, man? Anyway.
Yeah, for those that I pitched on Friday. So this is like the last series of the season. So I started and I needed like 8
inning and a third.
Yeah, 8 1/3 innings pitched on Friday. So I go out there and I pitched 7 innings, I guess. So ended up being an inning and like 4 outs or 5 outs shy, I think. So after the game, I go in and Gibby's like, "Hey, you want to start on Sunday?" And I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, your last start, you're done. Who cares if your arm blows out? Let's try to get you to 200 innings." So all right. So got geared up and went out there. And like you said, I got my butt shellacked pretty much, but there was a few plays behind me that could have possibly got me 4 outs, but I don't even think I got an out. And then Gibby comes and pulls me after. He goes, "I've seen enough. You've given up 6 or 7 runs. I got to get you out of here."
No, that's not what I said. I said, "Listen, dude, I ain't gonna sit and let you out here and rot. I ain't no way in heck I'm doing that."
Yeah, I've seen enough. Get your butt out here.
But you know what was worse than even those clanks? Alfonso Marquez was the home plate umpire. You know what? Before the game, I talked to Kevin Cash with the Rays. I said, "This is what we're doing with Buehrle, and when he gets it, so and so is going to go out and take him out, whatever." And they're all for it. They thought it was great. And I went to the umpire's room and said, "Listen, this is what we're doing. So when we take him out, the starting pitchers are going to go take him out." So that they would know, and they said, "Great, all right." Marquez is behind home plate. The only guy on that team that gave you trouble was Mikey Mattook, right? He's the only guy that ever hit you at all, right? And so I can remember the bases were loaded. It was a 2-2 count. Marquez is behind the plate. You threw one on the inside corner or outside corner. It's like that far off, right? You know what? I said earlier, you were an umpire's dream, man. You got the ball, you threw strikes, you worked quick. And he balled it, and you're going, and so we're screwed. You got to be kidding me after watching the 2 clanks and the next pitch grand slam.
Yep.
He could have, if he rings him, he rings you up, or Matt took up right there. Nobody complains because it's that close. And I'm thinking, I tell you what, I knew Angel Hernandez pissed you off, or you pissed Angel off. I didn't think you did to Marquez.
Yeah, Marquez. I remember that game. He was tight a lot on a lot of the pitches, during that game. I don't know if it's more than he usually is, but I know there was a number that number of pitches that I thought I could have gotten. It didn't go my way, but it's the way it is.
No, I got you. All right, but it's okay. But I tell you, that haunts me, dude, because you know what? You as a manager, you think, well, I think that was the first time. There was a couple times your arm was hanging a little bit, so we pushed you back a little bit. You never missed a start. But there was also, you look back, I used to look back anyway. I thought, gosh, we were playing in Philly before the DH. I think, we were down a run or two. I said, then we pinch hit for you. And I said, there had to be many times out there you could have gotten him another inning or two. So, but anyway, say you got that 50. Let's pretend you did, man, because what you've done is historic anyway. Only 7 guys, all Hall of Famers. There'll be 8 one of these days. If we got that 15, so we say man, there would have been there'd only been 4. There's only been 4 dudes: Sutton, Gaylord Perry, Warren Spahn, and Cy Young. All right,
impressive.
Yeah, man, who is that guy? All right, here's the most impressive, maybe expressive that is. Here's maybe the top thing, right? You are the first pitcher to record at least 200 innings with 61 or fewer walks in 14 straight years. Did you realize that?
No, I didn't know.
Only one. Who did you surpass to set that? Got any idea?
No clue.
Cy Young.
Oh.
Cy Young, man, they named that award after him, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Unless I read that wrong, or maybe I was or something. I know I didn't. I tell you what,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, bro, it is. You know what? To sit there and watch it, and if you came up, what's a pitcher, right? You're a pitcher. You're not a guy out there just chunking it. Nowadays everybody's power. They throw as hard as they can. They run out of gas, early, and they walk guys. They're always in trouble. You are the epitome of a pitcher, going back. That's what, when somebody says you're pitching, that was it. You had the simple delivery. Is there a simpler delivery out there than you had? You just got it. Just came setting.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why health and didn't get hurt, going on the DL. One, my motion was good, and I didn't throw that hard. I feel like a lot of these guys that throwing 95 and 100 is more jerking on your body and more wear and tear on it, and that's what we're going to break down sooner. And I said that's maybe why I didn't go through injury, because I was topping out at early on, maybe 90 a couple times, and later in my career I was 83 to 85. I was just using movement and breaking pitches and off speed pitches and fastball counts. When guys were waiting for a fastball, it's 2-0, he's going to throw a fastball over here, I could drop a curveball in there and have confidence with it. So I think all those reasons is why I didn't miss many starts, and I was able to throw 200 innings a year, because I didn't throw that hard.
Hey, when you say you didn't throw that hard, you were 90, 91, 92. What do you think? That soft tossing early on in your career? And that's not that, well, okay, but I don't see any guys out there with these kind of numbers.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would hit 90, 91 occasionally, but I would sit early in my career. I think I would sit around 88, 87, 88 on my sinker. And then obviously as the years went along, I think there's one game in Toronto, I looked up, I threw a fastball, and I looked up on the scoreboard and it said 79 changeup up there. And I was like, no, that was my sinker. It's about time to call it a career when I can't even break 8 with my fastball.
Oh, God. There was that. Maybe it was a knuckleball. I told you, start throwing one. You make a comeback.
Too much.
Davey, what do you got for him, man?
Yeah,
Anything
let's
else?
wrap. Yeah, absolutely. Two things to your list. Retired jersey, number 56 as a Chicago White Sox. And pretty cool stat here, July 30th, 2009, Mark Buehrle Day in Chicago. That's kind of cool as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty surprising when they called and said they want to retire my jersey. Obviously, you play this game to have fun, make money, play baseball. Everybody wants to play baseball as a kid, but you never dream or think about getting number retired. Just being on the Hall of Fame ballot for what's been 3 years now, just being on that, seeing my name on it, like some of the stuff just doesn't make sense. But it was an honor whenever they called and said they're going to do it. Total panic mode, because I had to get up there and talk in front of people, which is not my forte. I'm not really crazy about it, but I had to get up there and do a speech and thank people, and that's like the worst fear of mine in life. But I made it through it, and it's pretty cool to see it up there. I got to be honest.
And you made it through this as well. Thanks for joining us, Mark. It's been a
Hey,
lot
hold
of
on,
fun.
I ain't done with him yet. I got
Okay.
one more thing for him. Hold
Okay.
on.
Sorry.
Remind me. No.
I just thought I'd send you away, Mark. This guy won't stop.
This may be all of our last hurrahs, man. You never know. Hey, you know, the first time you went back and pitched in Chicago, right? The White Sox, maybe that start?
Yeah.
Because it reminded me, because that last game you had Tampa, you know, I talk about booting balls, and, you know, it's like, it's a big day, right? We want to get you over 200, right? You were pitching a gem, right? We get into the middle part of the game, you know, and for your first time, you know, pitching back at the White Sox, I think, if I'm not mistaken. A ground ball, man, Jose Reyes in short, and Jose whiffed it. For crying out loud, they scored a couple, and then now they took the lead in the middle innings. You go, but we, you know, that was, you know, I'm thinking, dude.
Yeah, that was my first start back in Chicago. I was throwing pretty hard that time. Obviously, a little more juices flowing. But I think I was against Chris Sale, and I think we ended up losing 2-1 or 3-2. It was a close game, but it was a tight game all the way through. So I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, we were winning until I know errors happen. I'm teasing. I love those guys too. Well, real quick, one last thing too. Before, hey, any memories of Toronto that stand out to you that you want to share or anything like that?
So it's funny is playing in Chicago, then going to Miami, there's two places I've always said that I would never play. And one was New York and the other was Toronto. One, New York, because I was there for 9/11. I'm not a big city guy, but being there on 9/11 just totally ruined New York for me. And Toronto, because whenever I was younger, you can't use your phone up there. Somebody texts you, and that's cost you $1 every text message they sent to you. All the exchange money stuff. I'm like, this is just too much. I'm never playing in Toronto. So whenever I got traded, David Sampson called me and said, hey, we're trading you. And I'm like, okay, where? And he kept rambling. I'm like, where am I going? And he's like, Toronto. And I was like, oh my God. No way. Literally like freaking out because I did not want to play there. And I got to be honest, it was an awesome 3 years. The city was awesome. The fans are incredible. I enjoyed way more than I ever thought I would. I've always said I would never sign a free agent deal, but if I was to play after that, you know, when I was done there for those 3 years, I would 100% could have signed back in Toronto.
Wow. You know what? And you know what? Hey, the people up there loved you, man. They'll appreciate that, right? You know, that's pretty cool. That's pretty special, man. And you know what? You did. They did a lot for you. You know what? You did a heck of a lot for them. And you know, the baseball world, and me personally as a manager, you made my life easy. It was a true honor. You're at the top of the list, man. And it's good to see you enjoying life, family good. Everything's it's nice being home, isn't it?
Oh man, it's incredible. Kids keep me busy and just always on the go. I can't sit down. This is probably the longest I've sat down during the day, and probably since I've been home. My kids yell at me all the time, Dad, will you just sit down and do nothing one day? No, always something to have to be done.
Well, I'm sure that honeydew list is waiting on you, brother. So anyway, Hey, listen, man, we can't thank you enough. The baseball, you've been great to the game, and I tell you, I look forward to that day you go into the Hall of Fame, pal. It's been an honor.
We'll see if that happens, but I appreciate it.
He's got to happen. How could it not? Anyway. All right, pal, be good. Get out there and get to work while us media darlings here sit around on the internet.
All right. See you guys.
Man. All right, pal.
Time now for Roast and Toast, inspired by our friends at Miller Lite. Gibby, what is your roast of the day?
Oh, man, I tell you what. You know, I was watching that. I saw the highlights of the Phillies Colorado Rocky game. And the pitcher, Jake Bird, the pitcher for the Rockies, right? He gets a big out. They end up winning 4-0. He gets a big out. He's coming off and he's slapping his glove and he's hollering. It looked like into the
egging it on, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, what are we doing? You know, and then so all hell broke loose and no punches were thrown. It was a typical baseball fight. It wasn't a hockey fight, right? But Harper's going at him, but you know, it's kind of the part I don't like. You know, I thought the Phillies had every right. You know, come on, get your head out of the dugout. But I think what's causing a lot of this stuff is all the hot dogging and everything that goes on in the game, the showing, everybody shows everybody up. Everybody's got their celebrations. It's like, that's kind of what baseball's encouraged. Doesn't mean I'm an old fuddy-duddy, but in that kind of competition that's that serious, you beat somebody, or you don't need to rub somebody's nose in it, right? Or otherwise you're asking for trouble. But on the flip side of it, remember the old statement they came out in Major League Baseball, let the boys play and things like this. They try to encourage that. Maybe that's what gets the youth going or something. But he had it coming to him.
Yeah, he certainly did. And your toast of the week.
Oh, it's got to be Kevin Pillar, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, great career in Toronto, fan favorite. Then he's kind of bounced around for a couple teams the last few years. He blew out his shoulder and made a good comeback, and now Atlanta hires him. Alex Anthopoulos down there, and goes back to Toronto the first time. Hits a homer. I guess got a nice ovation. It was heartfelt. I saw him do that. Is there a better way to welcome yourself back? And is that the tip of the cap to your own fans? The nice part is for Toronto fans, they came back and won. But you know what? It was a great moment. It gave me goosebumps. It really did.
Yeah, he's had an interesting career too, because he spent so much time with you in Toronto, and then since that time, he's kind of bounced around. So it was kind of nice seeing Pillar back at the Dome, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know what, Dave? He was Kev was one of those guys you could count on him every day, right? He showed up to play, and you know what? You knew he left it on the field. He was going to do everything. I often say he and Batista were the two guys that I knew every day you never had to worry about. They were never going to be out of the lineup unless they had a broken bone or something like that. Because you know what? They were going to maximize their career to the fullest, and they understood they needed to play every day. And so good for him, and he's getting at the tail end of it. I hope he finishes strong, but it was a nice little moment.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
Well, you know what? That just about does it for this episode of The Gibby Show. A reminder, you can pick up Gibby's book, Tales of a Baseball Lifer, wherever you buy books. It's best-selling right now. It's off the charts great. You're going to be back in Houston this upcoming week doing some more voiceovers, correct?
Yeah, because I couldn't get it done on time, But I'm telling you, David, it's harder than you think, Especially, and I'm not a bad reader, but I'm not a good reader. But it's like about the 2 hours in, I told the guy this run, I said, listen, I've had enough of this, man. Let's hire somebody to do this. That's when I said Morgan Freeman, would be perfect. He said, you can't afford Morgan Freeman. I said, why? How much does he charge? He goes, he gets probably $100,000 to do something like that. I said, yeah, you're probably right. Let me wade through this. I'll get through it.
You know what? And Morgan Freeman couldn't control a bullpen like you. So I don't know if you want him reading your book either, right?
No, but he had owned the team, He's been successful.
Yeah, you make a good point. A reminder, too, once the audio is done, it's going to be available around Father's Day in June. It's a perfect book to purchase for Dad. If you haven't already done it lately, you can get the audio copy at that time. You can get the hardcover. Just get the book. It's a fantastic read. For John Gibbons, I'm David Bastl. John Rizzi is back next week. Thanks for watching The Gibby Show. And, of course, go Blue Jays.
Great job, David.